Mel Robbins is one of the most booked speakers in the world and an international best-selling author whose work has been translated into 32 languages. She went from being an unemployed 41-year-old facing bankruptcy to impacting millions of people through her books, speeches, and coaching sessions. Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 and 9. For my top 10, top 10, 9 and 9. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Mel Robbins, and my take on her top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Raise your own game.
Got to raise your own game. And so what is the game that you play at work? You got to get out of the head that it's all about you. The best team members are always thinking about how to make the team better. The best team members are loyal to the team. The best people to work with are the ones that are in it together. And so in order for you to get your toxic colleague to shift behavior, you got to model it. And here's the interesting thing about the research. When people are working with coworkers or on a team where people collaborate and where you have honest conversations, it creates what we call psychological safety, which basically just means I feel safe working with you. I know that if I come to you with feedback, you'll listen. I know that if I tell you how your behavior is impacting me, you'll actually care. I know that if you need help, you'll come to me, and I know if I need help, I can come to you. That's what psychological safety means. You're a safe person and hopefully a fun person to work with. So you've got to model that. That means you got to ask for support. That means you got to have direct conversations, and it means you got to support your team members too. And do you realize that when you work with other people that do this, team members are 35 times more likely to show visible commitment to your success, and they're 47% more likely when you model it to work hard to build and maintain your trust. So don't ever get resigned in thinking that the way that you behave won't impact how somebody else is behaving around you.
Rule number 2, be a realistic optimist.
One of the most important things when you're in a situation where the truth, the facts are that there is more on your plate than one human being can effectively handle on his or her own, there's a really important moment where you have to surrender to the chaos that your life is for the next couple weeks. Things are going to change when summer hits, but part of what I find personally is that when I resist, and I do resist, I resist what's actually happening when that's not the way that I want things to go. And so if you start complaining or you start bringing extra weight to all of the things that are going on, it's going to make it feel even more overwhelming. And if you can bring a sense of realism to it. So I call this, and I think Sean Anker's the one that came up with this term, realistic optimism. Realistic optimism is a really powerful mindset because you're not just putting a sunny spin on a crappy situation. You're being realistic about where you are in your life right now. And you are still maintaining an optimistic point of view. And what that means is that you, when you're an optimist, you believe that your actions and your thoughts matter. You believe that you can handle what's on your plate. You believe that based on your thoughts and your actions, you can positively affect the outcome of whatever it is that you're dealing with, whether it's being wildly overwhelmed because you're a single parent, or terrified because you just got a scary health diagnosis, or you're spinning because somebody just told you they don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore. Whatever it is that you're facing that's making you feel overwhelmed, first start with how important it is to be a realistic optimist. So there's a surrendering to what's so, but you're going to stay very optimistic and positive and know that everything that you think and do is in your control. And that when you know that your behavior matters, it gives you a sense of empowerment that's proven by research. Super duper important. It's also why you can have a very hard life right now and a very overwhelming life right now and still be happy. Because you know, based on being a realistic optimist, that this period will pass, and you know that there are things that you can think about and do that are within your control.
Rule number 3, practice emotional resilience.
Oftentimes when you hit bottom, you bounce. And that's where I think the power is. That when the world feels upside down, you always have the power to make it right. When one chapter ends, you always have the power to write a new one. When, you feel like nobody loves you, you have the power to learn how to love yourself. And if there's one thing that COVID-19 has done, regardless of whatever devastation it has caused in your life, is it has forced us all to experience the great pause. And I read that in a Medium article, and I loved that idea of a pause, because I think in 2020, our lives have gotten so fast and so digital. And when you are forced to pause and get present and to slow down, you are reminded of what's actually important. And what's important is your health. What's important is your family and your friends. What's important is whether or not you are taking care of yourself and thinking positive thoughts versus negative thoughts. The world gave us a gigantic experiment where we got to practice and get to continue to practice the most important skill on the planet, which is emotional resilience, the ability to face hard and actually be okay, the ability to face the uncertain and redirect your attention on things that you know that are certain.
Rule number 4, surround yourself with greatness.
As is the case in life, you're always going to be growing. And when you hit new chapters in your life, it's really important to be deliberate and mindful about the people that you spend time with and who you surround yourself with. Does that mean you got to ditch your high school friends? Absolutely not. But it might mean that you shouldn't spend as much time with them. It might mean that you should show up to those friendships a little bit differently, and maybe they'll go a little bit deeper. And it definitely means that based on where you are in your life right now, that you should get more proactive about surrounding yourself with a group of new friends or current friends that are up to the same kind of growth that you are.
Also, if you want to have more self-love, confidence, and motivation, check out my 254 series. They're free. The links to join are in the description below.
You're always going to need to push yourself. You're always going to need to parent yourself. If you didn't give a shit what anybody else thought, what's the thing you would love to be doing with your life?
The prefrontal cortex is the part of the brain that you need in order to learn new behavior, in order to do something difficult, in order to do something uncertain, in order to do strategic thinking.
Rule number 5, disrupt the patterns.
Why do you think that is in human beings that, if things are going bad, we won't change? If they're going good, we won't change. But it's almost like we need a massive breakdown, near-death experience, divorce, COVID, for us to see clearly to start changing.
Well, there's a really simple answer: patterns. So the thing about all human beings is that we are pattern learning machines. And if you feel stuck or broken, I guarantee you, while you feel that way, you're not. You have a pattern of behavior or a pattern of thinking that is broken. And we need to be disrupted because we love our patterns. And even people that I know, like
even when we're in pain, even when we're in pain, we love the pain.
Pain's familiar for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, like you may be listening to Lewis and I talking, and you grew up in a super chaotic household. Maybe your parents argued all the time. Maybe your dad or mom were in and out. Maybe there was a lot of fighting. Maybe there was actual abuse. I don't know what was going on, but it was chaotic as hell. And so as an adult, you have vowed to yourself, you are not going to repeat that pattern. But what ends up happening is because as a little kid, you observed, witnessed, absorbed the pattern of chaos in your nervous system, unless you go about the intentional work of breaking the pattern of chaos, you will create it in your own life because it's what's familiar. You won't understand. Why do I keep dating these assholes? Why do I go to these bosses that treat me like crap? Because you don't know what it feels like to be in a relationship with either a boss or a romantic partner or a roommate that is consistent, because for the first 18 years of your life, you lived in a state called, when's the next shoe going to drop?
Right.
And so wherever it is in your life that something is broken, there is a pattern that you don't see yet that is making you continue to stay in a broken situation.
Rule number 6, lay 1 brick a day.
And it's all that thinking, that overthinking, that thinking too big. Thinking big is about dreams. Thinking big is about goals. Thinking big is about your heart and your soul and figuring out what you want. Then once you do that and you think big and you see where you're headed, boom, you got to come back and you got to go brick by brick to make that vision stick. You got to go brick by brick to make the action stick. You got to go brick by brick to lay that pathway forward and to keep going. And let me tell you something. I don't care how busy you are. I don't care how tired you are. I don't care how much there is to do to make this big dream forward. You have time to lay 1 brick a day. You really do. You really do. And this is the secret, everybody. This is the secret to everything. It's to understanding that there is no timeline to getting your dreams done. All there is to do is to allow your heart and soul to dream big, to see the path forward, and then to pull yourself into the moment every day and have the discipline to be deliberate, to lay 1 brick on that path. That's it. And to keep reminding yourself that everything that you're learning on the way as you lie bricks down and you move forward a little at a time is helping you build the path. And there will be times that you start to lay bricks in this direction and you realize, whoa, wait a minute, I'm going over here and my dream is over there. I guess I better lay bricks over here and head back in the direction. Then you're going to go this way. That's great, because everything that you learned over here is going to be exactly what you needed in order to be doing what your big dream is.
Rule number 7, make a change.
Having a breakdown is one of the biggest things on the planet, because what you get is you get a break from your own bullshit and you can look objectively at where you are and for the first time look ahead and say, well, what do I want to go create? And 9 times out of 10, if you're discouraged right now, if you've got financial devastation, if you're facing something that is making this moment in time as hard for you as life was for Lewis and I in 2008 during the last recession, I beg you, ask yourself honestly if what you had is actually what you wanted. The thing that you just lost, that job that you bitched about all the time.
That relationship that was bad to you. Yeah.
Yes. Or the friends you can't hang out with because it's convenient and you're in quarantine. Like, actually ask yourself if this is what you wanted, or were you just used to it? Being used to something, Lewis, I think is the biggest reason why people don't change. I asked my mother. I love my mother. I love my parents. They've been married 51 years. Which is a feat because my mom was a teen mom. But I asked her once if she'd go to a personal development seminar with me.
What'd you say?
Are you kidding me? Why would I want to change at my age?
Oh, wow.
I might discover I hate my life.
Wow.
I was like, okay, I'm just going to leave that right there.
Rule number 8, choose how you respond.
And I always talk about how you have the power in your life, always. I know that you may have your feelings hurt. I know you may be angry or upset or frustrated. I certainly feel those things all the time in my life. But I want you to understand that no matter what's going on, you always have the power, because you can choose what you think and what you do next. You may not be able to control the way that somebody treated you. You may not be able to control the number of promotions that have passed you by. You may not be able to control whether or not your boss is a jerk face or not to you. But you can choose how you respond to these things, and that's where your power is.
Rule number 9, get out of your head.
This is a very important first piece of advice, by the way, is that a lot of times we start to feel the weight of the overwhelm, but we don't get out of our heads. And if you spend too much time thinking about all the stuff that's going on, and you don't go through the process of breaking it down and figuring out what actually is important to you and prioritizing what you're going to do about it, you're just going to continue to feel heavier and heavier and heavier and more sunk. I mean, it's a very, very difficult thing to feel.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is stop beating yourself up.
Why don't you like the size you are?
Because it's unhealthy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't believe in losing weight to be skinny. I believe in getting healthy because of how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
So if you love the size that you are and it's healthy, you should stay the size that you are.
Oh.
But if you look in the mirror and seeing your body the size that it is gives you evidence to say, I'm a piece of shit or I'm unworthy. What do you say to yourself when you see yourself in the mirror?
All of those things.
Tell me, what is it? Let's get it out of your head and let's bring it to the light, because you know, you feel comfortable saying this to yourself when you're alone, don't you?
It's me.
I want you to say it out loud, because it's not okay to say this stuff to yourself. What do you say to yourself that we're not going to say anymore?
I'm disgusting.
I'm disgusting. What else?
I hate the way I look.
I hate the way that I look.
I hate the way I feel.
I hate the way that I feel. Okay. What do you want? What do you deserve?
To feel good when I walk down the street.
Yes. Yes, you do. See, I think at the heart of this is a belief that you don't deserve to feel that way. So who taught you to feel that you don't deserve it? When did you start saying that to yourself, that you don't deserve it, Holly?
Maybe when I was like 6 or 7.
That's usually when it happens. So what I want you to do is I want you to leave here, and what you're going to go to war against is not your weight. You're going to go to war against the pattern in your head, okay? Because the longer you invalidate yourself, the less motivated you're going to be to change.
Yeah.
Because you're beating yourself down. So we got to start with not fixing you. You're not broken. You're perfect how you are, Holly. You are. I know you don't feel that way, but I feel that way.
Yeah.
It's the pattern up here that's broken.
Yeah.
So we just want you to have a zero tolerance policy for this, like, I'm not worth it, I don't deserve it, I'm a piece of shit, this, I'm all that. No, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's like an axe. You got that? And then you're going to come up, what can we say instead?
I can do this.
I do that. I can do this. But more important, I think it needs to be more heart-centered. I deserve to feel good.
Yeah.
I deserve to have what I want. Watch me go get it.
Now I've got a special bonus clip from Mel on how to stop comparing yourself to others. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know, where do you need to stop beating yourself up? Let me know your answer. Put it down in the comments below. And if you made it this far in the video, you're still here watching, I want to celebrate you, because Believe Nation, we don't just watch videos, we do something about it. So if that's you and you commit, you promise you're going to take action immediately after watching this video, give me a hashtag Believe down in the comments and tell me where you're from, because I want to celebrate you.
First of all, you're not in a race, so there's no catching up. And I want you to stop saying you need to catch up with everybody right now, whether you're facing this issue at work because you haven't been promoted, or you're facing this issue because you're the only one of your girlfriends who's not engaged or married or pregnant or a mom yet, or if you're facing this issue because you feel like you look around and you're comparing your life to somebody else's. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. It is one of the most horrible things that you can do, because it's very demotivating. Because what you're doing is you're making yourself wrong for where you are. And that's not going to make you motivated. What I want you to do is see the gap and recognize that if you're jealous, it's because you want that thing. That's why.
If you want 10 more awesome rules from Mel Robbins, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
One of the things that I've learned in my business is that the mistakes are where all the learning is. And actually, the mistakes and the imperfect stuff